contradicting myself by saying avoid, never, and always, but always avoid, never, and always. My name's Anthony Lindsay. I'm an FCA qualified mortgage broker, and I like to talk about business, finance, culture, and everything in between. I've been working in finance for over 30 years, so I know a thing or two. Today, I'm just going to talk about the fact that there's a lot of information available online. But I always tell people, don't get your legal, financial, or property advice from some guy or some girl on YouTube, TikTok, social media. And always avoid, never, and always. What you will find is a common theme with these type of things is that there's this really quick headline, 3 quick steps to being a millionaire, how to start property investing with less than £500. And you know, I'm not saying that the information is incorrect. That's not what I'm saying at all. But as we all know, most things in life are not that simple. So looking online and going on social media and sharing these really fantastic, well-produced videos is not always the best idea. Now, it's a great way of being introduced to some very interesting concepts, and quite often the information and content is quite good. But the thing that you must always do is do your due diligence. Always investigate, always speak to people that are professionals in that particular area that can give you specific individual advice that is based on your circumstances. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be in some fantastic networking groups with some very experienced people. So I'll be online and I might see something, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And I will go and speak to these professionals who know me and know my circumstances that they can give me the best advice. I'm in a property group, a landlords group, that they talk about some quite complex things and things that are going on with regulation, etc. But the great thing is we all know each other. We all have accountability to each other, and we can all get an understanding. And if there's a bigger topic or bigger subject that we need to break down, we can speak to each other as individuals. So always do your due diligence. And keep in mind that a lot of the people online have an agenda. Now, sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's not. So for example, my agenda is to continually talk about things that are my expertise, that people will be familiar with me, that if they then need that product or service, they can pick up a phone, they can come to my office, they can reach out to me and get individual specific guidance for their circumstances. So that's my agenda. It's not a hidden agenda. But what you will find is there are people online that aren't qualified in the areas that they're speaking on, that they don't actually do the thing that they say they do. They're basically trying to get more views. So they make their money through views and through sponsorships. They don't often make their money through the particular thing. And that's okay too. But it's just important that you know that if you take advice from one of these individuals or you implement a strategy that they have suggested, who are you going to talk to when it goes wrong? You know, what are you going to do? Just put a comment on their post? Now, if it all goes wrong for you and you put yourself in a financial position where you have to pay or you owe the government money, you cannot go back to that person. Which is why it's so important that you take the information that is given in these videos and speak to someone who will be accountable, but more importantly, someone that you trust and someone that will give you the best advice because they know you. The other thing to take into consideration is the fact that there are no two clients that are exactly the same. Just like no two properties are exactly the same, the circumstances, no matter how vanilla a client or a customer may seem, there may be some things in their story or in their requirements that will change the advice that you'll give them. I'll give you a great example. When I first relocated to the UK, obviously I had no credit. I had no credit profile. So as an adult, I wanted to be able to purchase things if needed on credit. I wanted to be able to get a mortgage. So as someone with no credit, but understanding how credit works quite well, in those days they had a lot of subprime lenders. So you had lenders that you could go to that had very, very, very high interest rates. But they were more open to doing business with people with poor or bad credit. So I say this because the advice that people would give you online would be never to go to a subprime lender or never pay what they view as extortionate interest rates. But for me, because I know how to handle my finances and I know what my end goal was, it was the best thing for me to do. So what I did, and I'm not advising anyone to do this, I'm just using this as an example. What I did is I took out a personal loan for about £2,000. I took it out for a year, but I repaid it in 6 months, which means because the interest is not front loaded, I only paid the interest on the 6 months worth of, on 6 months. I then took out another loan. At this point, my credit rating was a little bit better. So the interest rate, although it was high, it was lower than the previous one. I took another one out for 6 months, for a year, paid it off in 6 months. So I'd had 2 loans that were installment credit that improved my credit rating within about in about a year to a year and 3 months. I then took out a credit card with one of the popular credit card companies. So within 18 months, I had revolving credit, installment credit. Long story short, within about 2.5 years, I had A1 credit. At this point, I could go to pretty much any lender and get a credit card. Now, the point of my story is, without someone understanding my individual circumstances, they may have just said, don't do that, which means it may have taken longer, or maybe I would not have been able to establish a strong credit profile. So, always do your due diligence. It's great to get information online, but understand that these people, just like I am, are just talking to a camera. They're not talking to you as an individual. And you need to make sure that, especially if it's financial or medical or legal advice, things that have very, very strong repercussions if it's done wrong, you want to make sure that you're getting information that's right for you, right for your circumstances, and it's not just to put money in someone else's pocket or for someone to have 1 million followers or 1 million likes or 1 million comments. So some of the things that you can look out for are always and never. So if someone says always do this particular thing, that's usually a red flag for me. If someone says never do this particular thing, that tends to be a red flag as well. So hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully you will share, like, and comment. I know that everything that I've said is right, but if you think it's wrong, feel free to share that as well. My name is Anthony Lindsay, and I help startups and side hustlers build a business that is scalable, sustainable, repeatable, and franchisable by building a data-driven business that is built on systems and processes. There's more information about me in the description, and I actually have a phone number and an office. So if you are in the UK and you'd like to speak to someone about starting or running a business, or if you are into property and you need a mortgage, remortgage for buy-to-let or residential, please reach out.